Michelle with Pink and Main. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be creating some cards using our floating by stamps and dies, along with some other dies, embossing folders, and other fun products. So let's get started. Our first card is going to be super sweet and simple. I'm making a mini slimline card. I create the mini slimline cards by taking one of our pre-cut and pre-scored slimline cards, and I cut 2 inches off of the end. So instead of 8.5 inches long, I get 6.5, and it's 3.5 inches wide. And it's a nice little mini slimline card size. Out of some of our Riverwalk cardstock, I have cut this panel from our Mod Stitched mini slimline dies. So it has the fun little 2 rounded corners and 2 90-degree straight edges there. And I've run this through with our Cloudy Day embossing folder. Can you see those little subtle clouds in the background? They're just kind of creates that dimensional look with the clouds. I really like that. So I'm going to glue that down to the card base. It fits nice right within the card base with a nice little white border around it. I've cut a piece of our foam tape, which is about 3/8 of an inch wide and a 1/16 of an inch thick. So it's a nice thin foam base to give you a little bit of dimension. You can always double it up if you need more dimension, but it's nice and thin too, so that when you mail your cards, they won't be too thick. And I'm just gonna put a piece of that on the back of our little characters. Here I've got the adorable little bunny with the mouse that's like hanging on to the end of the bunny, and I've colored them with my Olo markers. I've also colored a little bunch of the balloons with the Olo markers. From our scratch off sticker sheets, I've taken the gold and I've cut out the inside of that balloon. So the floating by stamp set and dies is part of our scratch off series. It can totally be used alone without any scratch off products, but I give you the inside of the balloon die so that you can cut out the scratch off sticker sheets and you can put a hidden message on the balloon and then cover it up with the scratch off. I'm going to take our asphalt ink pad, which is our black ink pad. It's super dark black, and it's actually a hybrid ink so that you can use it with alcohol markers or with water-based markers and products. I've got the sentiment that I'm going to stamp in the balloon. It says floating by to say hi. We're just going to stamp that into the balloon. There we go. I've got floating by to say hi there. I'll clean my stamp off later. I love my Misty stamping platform for doing lots of stamping, but sometimes you just need a little block just to stamp a little something. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place the scratch off sticker onto the balloon and cover up my sentiment. And to do that, you just peel the backing off, and it will be sticky. We'll place that on top of our balloon. And now our message is covered up and it can be scratched off and revealed by the recipient of our card. So let's plan out the placement of everything on our card. I've also stamped scratch off from the stamp set, and I've cut it out on this little strip of white cardstock, and I was going to stick that right underneath the balloon there, and it just kind of lets the recipient know, hey, you can scratch off to reveal a message. So let's see how this is going to fit with our bunny and our mouse. That's going to be perfect. I'm going to adhere this down first. And then I'll glue our balloons into place. I'll add a little adhesive to my scratch off sentiment to stick underneath the balloon. I'll just slide it under here. So here's our first card, super sweet and simple. And you can add one of our little scratchers inside the card. These are our scratchers, and they're different colored little discs. You could just put one inside the card when you give it so that the recipient has something handy to scratch off to reveal the message. For our next card, I've got a top folding A2 size card. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when folded. And I gotta show you this next. This is gonna be the bottom layer that we're gonna add to our card base. This is using our Layered Scallops rectangle dies. Now these don't look like much when you see them in the package. They just look kind of funky with little bumps all around them. But what you do is you cut 2 pieces with the scallop die, and you simply turn one 180 degrees, and it sits right on top of that other one, and you've got adorable little alternating colored scallops that go around. It's so much fun. We have this die in a mini slim size, and we also have a circle one so that you can get these little alternating scallops in different colors. And this set of dies also comes with a stitched rectangle die that fits directly over the top. Then you get those cute little colored scallops all around your focal piece of your card. So I have a light blue piece of cardstock here that I've run through with the embossing folder again, that cloudy day. So I get those cute little clouds in the background. And I've got my 2 colors of blue in my layered scallops. I'm going to glue these together and then glue them onto my card base. I'm using our Easy Squeeze craft glue, and I like that when I lay it down, I have a few seconds to shimmy my piece of cardstock into place just where I want it. The A2 layered scallop dies fit perfectly on your card base with a little white border around the edge. And here's our card so far. We have a nice base with these different shades of blue, like the sky with those little dimensional clouds. It's perfect for our adorable little unicorn here that's going to be floating by these little balloons. And I've got the sentiments stamped on white cardstock that I've just cut out with the little banner edge there. It says, "Thoughts of you lift my spirits." So I've cut out some of our foam tape, and I'm going to add it to the back of the little unicorn so that he can pop off the page just a little bit. All right, let's figure out how we want the balloons, and I'll glue them down first. Like I said, this set is part of our scratch off series, but you definitely do not have to use them with the scratch off stickers. They're perfectly adorable just using them by themselves. How cute is that? I'm loving it so far. I'm going to add our sentiment off to the side here. And here's our card so far. Another super sweet and simple card. But I'm not finished yet. I want to add something to these balloons to make them look realistic. One of my favorite things we have here at Pink & Main is our touch of gloss. I'm going to add that onto the balloons, just a thin layer over all of the balloons, and when it dries, it's going to be super clear, super glossy, and it's going to make them look like real shiny balloons. You can put this on as thick or as thin as you like. You just smooth it out with the nozzle. Put it where you like. It's also self-leveling, so it will kind of level out on its own to create that nice smooth surface. And there is our finished card. So it goes on slightly cloudy. It covers those colors up just a little bit, but as it dries, it will get completely clear and glossy, and those balloons will look like glossy balloons. For our third card, we're going to make a side fold A2 size card, and out of the front of the card, I've used our diagonal stripes die to cut out this little cloudy looking frame. You may say, why is it called diagonal stripes die? It does come with a panel that cuts out diagonal stripe pieces that you could add to the center of this if you wanted to, or you could use them alone by themselves on the front of the card. But I like that die because it kind of gives a little cloudy or bumpy border. I've done that out of the front of the card base, and you'll see what we're going to use. I'm going to take this turquoise piece of cardstock that's the size of my card, and I'm going to glue it on the inside so we have that little white frame going around the blue piece. But the first thing I'm going to do to the blue piece of cardstock is we're going to stencil some clouds onto it. I've got some of our stencil packaging just here on my table to protect my table. I like to reuse things as much as possible. And we've got our Cloudy Day stencil, which has 3 borders around it of different little clouds and a bunch of different cloud shapes on the inside that you can use. I've got this little white ink pad that I've had in my stash for a while. It's a dewdrop. So we're going to give that a try. And I'm using one of these ink dauber wands. So they've got these little sponges on the ends. You can see on this end I've used it for pink ink, but on the other end I haven't used it yet, so I'm going to use it for the white. And these wands were brought to market by my friend Yoli, and I absolutely love them. As soon as she sends me some, we sell out of them. They've been very popular. But they're very easy to hold and to use, and you're really just kind of dabbing into the ink and then dabbing onto the paper. Nothing more to it. It's super simple and easy. It's great to use with stencils with small areas. And And I think this is going to be a great look for our cloudy background. So let's go ahead and look. So see here we have our nice edge from our stencil. But you see how this white ink on here is giving kind of a cloudy background look. So let's take another edge here. I'm going to angle it a little differently. And we'll just go down and create clouds on the entire front of the card. The ink daubers do come with some extra tips, some extra sponges for the tips so that you can use the different sponges for different color inks. I love how this is looking so far. And if you keep tapping as the ink is used on the dauber end, kind of feathers off and blends into the background very easily. I'm just going to add a little white to the bottom of the edge of the paper. So it coordinates with those other cloudy areas. I love it. It's like a cloudy day. It's a little opposite of what you normally do with the white paper and then ink the blue, but I like it. So now we're going to glue this to the inside of the card front, and we'll start to assemble our card. Just going to line this up inside the card, and you can see I've cut it slightly smaller than the card base. And I'm going to fold it over into place. And I will have to hold it a few seconds until that glue dries. So here's our card front. I love it. Because we put that blue behind, cutting out the front of the card, looking through the clouds and up into the sky. For this card, I've colored a couple of the heart balloons and this adorable little bear. He's got string tied around him, so he's hanging from the balloons here. And then I've got the sentiment, sending smiles across the miles. And I want to tuck that right up under my edge there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that in. There, I was able to sneak that right up under that little cloudy edge so it sticks out. I'm going to put foam tape behind the bear again so it gives him a little dimension. And then I'm also going to put some foam behind one of the balloons so it pops out a little from the other too. So let me start gluing down the balloons. And now the last balloon. And now I will add the adorable little bear. And there is our third card. How cute is that? Thanks so much again for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed these cards I've created using our floating by stamps and dies and some other fun products. We've used it with our scratch off stickers, with our touch of gloss to create that realistic shiny balloon look, and with a stenciled background to create a cloudy sky. So much fun, sweet and simple. You can find these products and more at pinkandmane.com or ask your local retailer. And until next time, my friends, keep living the creative life.